FAVMI presents Unfolding Mental Illness, hosted by Saraswati Suresh.
Welcome to this powerful episode of Unfolding Mental Illness by FAVMI, Family's Voice on Mental Illness, which is also the Western Zone of Families Alliance on Mental Illness, FACEME India, founded by Dr. Nirmala Srinivasan. I am Saraswati Suresh, the host, and joined by my co-host, Dr. Sachin Ganurkar. As we mark 24th May, World Schizophrenia Awareness Day, we are honored to bring you a special conversation with Akila Maheshwari, a schizophrenia warrior, a trailblazer, and a founder of NAMI India. Diagnosed in her early years, Akila was not only navigated the challenges of mental illness, but also gone on to lead a life of purpose as a wife, a mother, a working independent individual, and also as an advocate committed to systematic changes in the mental health ecosystem. Her 2-decade journey includes building support systems for families, leading awareness efforts, and shaping national mental health policies. For her extraordinary contributions, she has received the Manthan Award by the American Indian Foundation, the Big Mumbaikar Award, and the Pillars of Hindustani Society Award. In our today's episode titled, Akila's Journey, Life Beyond Schizophrenia, Akila shares her story of resilience, recovery, independent living, and finding meaning in advocacy. Her voice is a testament to the fact that people with schizophrenia can and do lead full, thriving lives with the right support and belief. Welcome, Akila.
Hello, Saraswati. Hello, Dr. Sachin. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And we are very humbled to have a conversation with you, Akila.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Me too. I'm really looking forward to sharing my experiences and journey with a wider community.
Yeah. So to start with, Akila, we'd like to share with you, we like to take back when you first started experiencing the symptoms. What was it at that time like for you?
Yeah, so we go back to 1992. I was working in a public sector organization and in a good post. And my ex-husband was in the Navy, so we were posted in Calcutta. And over a period of time, I found that the public sector undertaking was full of a lot of corrupt individuals, and there was a lot of corruption, which I, having led a very sheltered childhood, brought to me like confusion and shock that such type of things are going on in the Indian ecosystem. Even today, we know that such type of things are going on in the Indian ecosystem, in spite of many of the policies and many of the things. In all, India has been ranked as a corrupt country, so I shouldn't have really been surprised. But that trigger fed onto my imagination that someone is going to kill my children because I've got them out. And, the thought process went spiraling beyond rational thinking. Let me put it that way. Coupled with this experiences at the workspace, handling corruption, and I was having a very unhappy married life with my ex-husband. We were not at all compatible at that point in time. We were completely different types of individuals, and the marriage was also not happening. And I had 2 small children, and all of that, coupled with the fact that I had led a sheltered childhood, so I had not really been exposed to human nature in its raw form. That led me to have a nervous breakdown, which is what we called it then. But that was the first episode of schizophrenia, and I was in panic. If my children came late home from school, I would panic that they'd been kidnapped and all that. So, and nobody could understand why I was behaving so panicky, it's okay, it's there, just be yourself. But obviously, I think it was there in my genetic predisposition, and the triggers were all around to just make it happen. With the result that I became completely insane. And the first trigger was seeing some writings of certain people, and there was a person who came into our house and offered a bribe to me and my husband and all that, and all those things actually got me totally triggered. And it wasn't long before I was spiraling into the intense phase of schizophrenia, and nobody knew about it because there was nobody in the family, nobody had any experience with this kind of a disorder.
So once you started realizing that, yes, you are facing some kind of panics and, delusions, uh, things like that, how did the diagnosis go? When did you
So
realize
this
that you have to go to a psychiatrist and take help, actually?
I didn't realize, because for me all these things were very truthful. Some people being corrupt, action should be taken on them. My husband ill treating me, and all of that. I was in like a no escape zone, because we were brought up very traditionally. So there was no escape from living with my husband. I couldn't leave my job because we had financial pressures, and the job was necessary for, running the family home and all of that. So I just sunk more and more into this depth of schizophrenia. And one day when we went by train from Calcutta to Delhi, I just left my husband and I went to the CBI director's house. I had come to know his address. So I did all sorts of crazy things. Then I went and told him that these people are all corrupt and it's going right up to the top and all that. Subsequently, my parents came and took me. They were living in Delhi in those days. And I was so far gone that I had a went below the bed in order to protect myself. I was lying below a bed and not coming out with a knife in my hand. So it was, then my parents knew that there's something very seriously wrong if the girl is going right behind under the bed with a knife in her hand to protect myself. It was ridiculous, of course. So my mother actually reached out to a psychiatrist in Delhi. And at that time, I told my father the phone is being tapped, this is being tapped. So my father very kindly got a technician who opened up the phone and said, see, the phone is not tapped. There's nothing in this phone. But I, of course, didn't believe it. And I told my father, you don't go out, you will be also killed and all that. I was totally deranged, actually. And then we were taken to one Dr. Segal, a private practitioner in his hospital, and I was given ECT with anesthesia, electroconvulsive therapy with anesthesia. And from that moment on, I became like blank faced. How do I explain it? I had a blank face, and of course, all that violence and all was eliminated. What happens is the ECT removes all your memories, quite a bit, I thought. But it's not true because even today I have memories of my childhood, pleasant memories. The only thing I think it tries to do is to erase the negative memories, and along with that, some positive memories also get lost. But the impact is good because when you don't have those memories triggering off those thoughts to you, you are on a path to recovery. So even though I was outwardly normal, I was doing all the functions normally, in my mind, my delusions were still true. I was in denial only throughout. In fact, I was in denial for almost 8 years. It was only after 2000, at the age of 40, that I sort of started understanding that there is something wrong with me actually. While all the other things I stated may be true, but the fact is that the thought spiraled beyond the normalcy, and I had become completely deranged and full of fear and all of that. And so yes, the family was concerned. People were worried. 8 years is a long time. I had, after 1.5 years of taking heavy medication, that is like Serenase, or you say Pacitane, and all those heavy drugs, they do definitely stabilize the disease, but they do not give you full functionality. So with such type of drugs, your functionality is compromised, And so you tend to become a burden on your family because you're not getting up on time, you're medicated, you're not making breakfast for your children, you're not making tea. But I must say that one of the very strong reasons for recovery are my both my children. Because children don't know about mental illness. They only know, okay, this is my mother, and I want my mother to do this for you. So, in a way, being around my family, my children, I used to get up, make the tiffin for their school, cook lunch. Slowly and steadily, I started, and I was working also, but I used to doze off at work also. But I had a good work atmosphere. They never asked me to leave or anything like that. My ex-husband also, in his own way, never wanted to leave me, right? It was only after like 4 or 5 years of continuous domination, because that's the way he perceived that he's helping me by his domination. Like, get up, make the tea, wash the dishes, hang out the clothes, iron this, go and buy this. So I was like a kind of a mini robo, just going through the motions. And if I didn't listen to him, he would get very angry, because that was his way of dealing with this. The only way to make this person do something is to, order them and yell at them and abuse them if they don't do it. So that was his way of handling it. But so in 1994, I stopped taking my medications one day. And within a week, you could see that I was concentrating well. I was doing everything very, very well. And everybody concluded that I have now been cured by this, cured of the mental illness, and medications are no longer required. Husband was also happy. "इतने बोलना नहीं पड़ता. She's getting up on time. She's not a medicated sleep. It's a natural sleep. She's getting up on time, doing all the things." But by 1995, I got triggered again. This time the trigger was my boss had written a bad confidential report about me. And in front of me was very nice and very friendly and very close. So that triggered off, that fear triggered off that this person who I trusted completely has written a bad confidential report about me. The other thing about me is I've always been, and I was always ambitious. It's not a bad word today, but if you look at the Indian cultural ethos, a woman being very ambitious is not, it's not considered as a favorable thing for the family. It tends to be that she's ambitious, she doesn't care about her family, which is true. When you're ambitious, you're focusing more on other things, you're not giving your whole attention. I'm not saying it's good or bad, but the thing is that my husband was from a North Indian cultural milieu where all women had always been homemakers, 100%. And though he married a different cultural milieu, which he thought would be wonderful, he didn't see the other side of it, that he's not getting the home support as he should be, as he felt he should get, as he felt he should get. So in 1995, I relapsed because I saw my boss had actually written a bad report about me and he was being very nasty. And then I again spiraled. I was supposed to at that time go abroad for a Rotary fellowship. I had been selected, but the delusion that struck me was that CIA is going to kill me. Now, the CIA delusion is very, very common in USA among schizophrenics. It's a very typical delusion that the CIA is following me or the FBI is doing this. And in India, CBI delusion is very common, I believe. People believe the CBI mere piche hai, ya ED mere piche hai, and all that, triggered by fears. So basically, what happens is we are connecting news reports, we are connecting TV reports. Nowadays, you have even more triggers. If you look at social media, that can be the biggest trigger for anybody. So I got what do you say, the first relapse in 1995. And going forward from that relapse, I again restarted my medication, but there was no ECT. Did you want to ask me something more before it's a one
Yeah.
monologue?
So, how you said that your mother and your father took you to their, you went back home to them. and your kids were the one who were, you were trying to help them, and that was one way of recovery. So were your kids aware that you had schizophrenia, and how did
No,
you cope up with it?
yeah, my kids didn't know what it was. Mummy is not well, she's sleeping. That's all they knew. When I got schizophrenia for the first time, my son was 4 years old
Okay.
and my daughter was 6 years old. So they were very small kids in KG and thing. So for them, it was life is going on. We are going to school. We are doing this. We are doing that. So they were not very much affected by the schizophrenia because the families, even though it's a nuclear family, we were meeting for occasions and all that. So no, the children didn't know. Only when they became teenagers, when I had my third relapse, is when they realized that some mummy ke there's some mummy ke saath kuch gadbad ho raha hai. There is some problem with mummy that is happening again and again, right? No, because when you are under delusionary phase, you talk too much, and you cannot be stopped from talking. That is one of the symptoms. Then you don't sleep, you walk up and down, you think you're messaging somebody secretly, or you're getting secret messages from the TV. For example, in my second relapse, I thought I was advising the Vajpayee government about the Kashmir policy. So this is obviously nutcase stuff. When we look back at it, it's very amusing, but at that time, it's not amusing. It's very real for the person with those delusions that this is actually true, that the TV is messaging to me through some secret code and all those things. So that was my second relapse, which was treated with an unusual drug, which was called Ativan. Besides this, I had a very uncooperative mother-in-law, the typical, saas bhi kabhi bahu thi type of mother-in-law, and she was very unsympathetic and very jealous kind of a lady. But still, the traditional people always want to, I would say, they are worried about the impression in society. They're worried about the impression. So there was never any talk. Furthermore, I had two children and they were trying to separate the children from me, let these two be together. But I never allowed it, and my parents never allowed it. And I'm really thankful to my parents because they said, if you are worried about the children, you go there where she is living and go there and look after. We don't believe in separation of the children with a parent. And I think that was something amazing which my parents did for me because today, if I'm recovered and if I'm getting support from my adult children, my children are now very adult. One is 34, 36, and one is 38 years old. And they really understand the illness. That couldn't have happened if I'd been brought up, they'd been brought up by someone else rather than their own mother. Because in between these illnesses, it's not a continuum. There are good days and there are bad days. And I think the good days outweighed the bad days. Finally, the third relapse, so I stopped. I took Ativan 2 mg for a long time, and it actually controlled my symptoms. And then we were being transferred to different cities. So ultimately, I quit my job, which is what I wanted to do, because I felt that my husband wanted a working woman and the perfect housewife all rolled in one, which is maybe possible for some women, but it was not for me, particularly given my condition. That was an impossible situation for me. So I quit my job and I became a full time homemaker in the hope that, okay, now the home end is going to be very good because I'm going to be hands on for it. So from 96, I joined a college for teaching, which was part time. And they were looking for some qualified people, and I joined, and it was very good because I got something to do. I was driving a two-wheeler then, a kinetic Honda, and things were fine. I was slogging away because I was not medicated. I stopped the Ativan, and from 1996 to the end of 1999, I was normal. But in 1999, again, I got a relapse. There, I can't exactly make out what is the reason for the relapse. There was no specific trigger that I can remember, but I relapsed and I became completely mad. And then again, my husband had to, take leave from his office and be with me. And this time was the first time the psychiatrist recommended Respiridon. This is one of the newer medications. And they started working well on me, Respiridon. But Respiridon has some side effects like on your hormones, like your periods are not, they were not coming.
They get erratic.
Yeah, no, they completely stopped. So
Okay.
now this made me go into a delusion that I am pregnant without having sex. So this was very ridiculous because the doctor kept saying, no, we have to do your pregnancy test. And I had to keep telling him that it's not possible. And then, of course, it came out negative. So the thing is here, there's no coordination between the medical profession. So before that, I was dreaming that, like all this Mahabharat, sun god and all that. I thought, oh God, I'm pregnant in the same way. And that is the most amusing. I remember my sister laughed when she heard this delusion. She laughed. And of course, it is highly laughable. But, for a person who is mentally unhinged and to know that you're not having your periods means what? You know? So you build your own fantasies and your stories which
Correct.
make you go even madder and madder. That's what.
Yeah. So how did you then distinguish this inner voice or delusions from the actual real world? Were you be able to distinguish, or you were not being able to distinguish it?
No, I was not being able to distinguish as I'm able to today because at that time also I was still in denial in 1999. Then we started Risdon, and once we started Risdon, slowly and steadily, I must say this is a miracle medication which worked for me. It doesn't work for everyone. And I started becoming very self sufficient. My husband, in the meanwhile, had decided there will be no help in the house. So he didn't want any house help to witness all this. So I became a house help plus a working woman. I came to Bombay in 2000, and my parents were living in Bombay. So they were very happy because they were very concerned about me and the fact that I was in an abusive marriage and I was mad. So I couldn't take a decision because they felt and they were sure that my ex-husband had a lot to do in terms of triggers and abuses. Whether maybe it was unintentional, but it was there. And so finally, by 2001, 2, I discovered I was doing all the housework myself. I was going to office, I was earning by myself, and I was listening to verbal abuses from my husband on a regular basis. And that's when I decided, no, I can't stay in this marriage anymore. Right? Even if the medication is working, why should you stay in an environment which is full of triggers? That's the first mistake I think I made because my parents were asking me to actually leave the marriage and they would support me. But it had to come from within me. Since I was delusional, I couldn't quite figure it out what is the truth and what is not truth. But I finally understood that, yeah, I can do everything myself. By him making me do everything as a punishment, turned out into a God's grace. Because today I don't have fear of any kind of situation where I have to handle. For example, COVID came. In COVID, we read about so many things, but for me, COVID moved very smoothly, very nicely. There was no stress about washing dishes or cleaning the house. I was up to it, and I think I appreciate myself that in COVID, I was doing very well. In fact, I have been doing very well for the last 2 decades. But one thing has helped me survive is that I have a coterie of 5 or 6 people whose duty is to tell me if I'm not stating stuff which is a delusion. They will tell me, no, this is not true, this is a delusion. And I will be allowed. I will be agreeing, let me put it this way, I will agree with them because I trust them and I love them. So those are my current husband, Dr. Shibancha Ragi, my 2 children, my father, and my siblings, a few of my siblings. So I've given this responsibility to them Because a delusion is something which you believe to be true, notwithstanding any evidence that it is true. I
Yeah.
never had hallucinations or auditory or otherwise. I always had only delusions,
Delusions.
strong delusions. Yeah.
But it's really nice to know, Akila, that your parents supported you so beautifully and they
Yes.
understood you. And, they were ready to take you, leave the marriage, come and live with us. I think that's hats off to the parents,
Yeah.
because I don't know how many of them would actually do something like that.
Yeah.
And
And this would be even for even people who don't have schizophrenia or anything.
yes, yes,
Taking a daughter back, and this my when I had my first relapse, my parents told me to leave him, you know, but
hmm,
I did not agree. But the
correct.
beauty is, can you imagine? My mother was in her 60s. I left my husband at the age of 43, and
Ha,
my father was, 72, 73 at that age. He was fit, but it's not a young age to get your child back with the grandchildren, of
yes,
course. But the grandchildren were big enough to decide where they wanted to go and all that. And
yeah,
after that, they encouraged me to rent my own house and be independent. I had
fantastic.
felt a little hurt at that time, but I realized it was good because they are not going to live forever. So
Yeah,
you have to cut the umbilical cord at some point. And yeah, my parents taking me back was a very big thing. They're very modern in their thought processes. My mother herself was a professor and a feminist in her own way. And I had many siblings. I have many siblings. So I'm one of 7 children. And
okay,
that makes all the difference because it's not just one or two people who are cheering you on. You have a group of people who are cheering you on, telling you that we love you. Don't worry about it. And even if you don't earn anything throughout your life, don't worry, we are there. Notwithstanding the fact that after that, I got my second career from the age of 43 till the age of 65. I was in my second career of teaching, which I told you happened by accident when I'd quit my corporate job. They needed some people to teach, and I went and I found it nice. And then I focused on that because you see, in regular corporate jobs, you have to be there for 12 to 15 hours. Now, that is not possible if you have a mental illness. Maybe, but not easily possible. It's going to be tough. It would be like, okay, you come home, have your medication, sleep, and get up and go to office. Nothing else. Because the corporate jobs where people like this Narayana Murthy is talking or somebody else is talking, they're talking about young men in their 30s who are sitting in AC cabins and working for 18 hours a day is possible. But if you do labor work, you can't work 18 hours a day. Labor work will be, say, 8 hours a day. So, anyway, yes, my parents were there for me throughout, and it worked out well in the end.
I also liked the concept of you having, the 4, 5 people who are trustworthy and you will listen to them. When I think that's a beautiful message to all our listeners that, if you can have
Yes.
that, support system where you listen to them when you are having a relapse or, you're getting into a delusional anymore. Yeah, I think that's
No,
beautiful.
no, we have to choose actually. We have to choose people because you have to tell them because people are afraid to tell you. The
Yeah,
first point is people are afraid to tell you because you won't listen. So
correct.
this is what I've told them to say. Hey, Akila, wait a minute, sit down. Listen to what I'm saying to you. You are right now delusional. Do you understand that? You need to tell someone you love when you're in the phase of normalcy. Choose even 2 people. Tell them it's your responsibility to come and tell me because I'll be delusional. So it's
Yeah.
your responsibility to come and tell me. So they are also very happy. We can tell you. Are you sure? I said, yeah, you can tell me. You should tell me because we go back, particularly siblings, you go back from your childhood. No? That's a kind of
Yes.
trustworthiness. And
Yes.
now I've included my children in that. Now I've told them, you have to tell mommy, no, this is not going all right. Mommy, stop. And they have agreed. So I'm really thankful. Of course, we have the concept of advance directive also, which I am planning. Usually, I don't think we do advance directives because we think nothing will happen to us.
Correct. Yeah. I'll ask Dr. Sachin to take over from here.
Yes,
Yeah.
sure, sure. Yes, Dr. Sachin.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Saraswati. I think it's been a wonderful conversation, and it's really nice of you that uh, what you have faced and how you actually have responded. It's quite an amazing journey, to be
Yes,
honest.
it is.
Just to continue it, have you ever faced stigma in public places or work? How did you handle it?
Okay, so let me be very frank with you. I've been very lucky. I never faced stigma. Maybe there was stigma, but I didn't feel it. That is a high possibility because at no point in my career was anyone trying to, let me go, as they say. Nowadays, it's very easy, hire and fire. You read in the papers, Google has fired 200 people on a single day. And of course, that's got nothing to do with mental illness. So when our time, it was, if you were laid off from a job, it was very bad. But today, as I see around, many people are either taking a break themselves or they've been laid off and they're doing other things, reinventing themselves by doing new courses and getting back. Actually, what happened is I never felt any stigma for the reason that I never felt I had done anything wrong. I think stigma also emanates from you yourself, what you feel. I've always been from my childhood an extrovert and a confident person, and that remained within me. And another thing is that when we were in school, we had good dialogues on the issue of suicide and the importance of living. So I never even in my dreams ever thought of committing suicide or giving up. I always had some kind of internal confidence that this will pass and something good is going to come out into the end. I'll tell you a very interesting story about the stigma because I had once applied for a job to an NGO as the CEO of the NGO, and there was a panel of 5 people. And I actually told them about my schizophrenia and how I've recovered and all of that. And I was offered the job of CEO of the NGO. So this is what I call is testing the proposition. But when you're testing the proposition, you also have to be ready to be, rejected. But this happened, and I joined them for 2 3 months. But then I got a job better than that as a principal of a college. So I left them in 3 months. But normally there is stigma, and I do not tell anybody overtly. But at the same time, I don't hide it. But I don't tell overtly because in India there is a lot of competition at the career place. And if someone wants to, trouble you, they can do it because it's a question of competition and survival. So people who have nothing to lose, like right now I have retired at the age of 65, I can be more overt about my mental illness because right now I have no stigma either in my personal life or my professional life. And I have contributed whatever I could in my professional life. So I think this is the right time for me to come out in the open. And, it's like people who are gay, right? People who are gay, they are not coming out unless they are, even celebrities are not coming out if they have gay or this thing or LGBTQ. But same here with mental illness, few people are coming out. But the people who are coming out are those who have perceiving no threat to their careers. There is a very serious threat to the career. Just because it didn't happen to me, I can't say. In another workplace, I used to go on every Saturday, every month, and have my help at the help library in Mumbai and have my lectures, self-help lectures. And my office was very cooperative about it, and they used to allow me to leave early on Saturday, and I used to go and do it. So this was, I faced cooperation everywhere, but I do agree there's a lot of stigma, that's for sure.
No, amazing. I think the way you have picked yourself up, I think that's really amazing.
I was lucky to have the good people around me, and support is, financial is very important. I was lucky to get back my financial independence and work hard. I was lucky to buy a house and pay the EMIs and all of that. And one, I wanted to just share this, which I've even shared earlier, is that when I started out, I used to attend the carer programs. They were only carer programs because it was the carer is suffering and the patient is making them suffer. Okay. So when I went to these carers, I came back with a thought that, oh, because of this person lying around in the bed whole day. Uh, uh, so I decided that I will not expect even a cup of tea from any human being. And that made me very relaxed and free, because anything you get is an extra. You don't have any expectations. Some level in the last 4 or 5 years, some level of spirituality has also crept into me. I'm a devotee of Sri Sai Baba in Shirdi. I do believe that he's there protecting me, and I'm surrounded by people who are also spiritual in their own way. My father is a very spiritual man. He follows Ramana Maharishi. I have people around who are spiritual. I think that allows us to have a calm mind in all situations, whether it is in situations of, you know, things not happening as expected, or situations of wonderful things happening without expectations. That the high and low has to be tempered down to, like, say gentle waves in the mind. And now I'm trying to learn. I've been doing yoga since I retired, and that's been very useful for me for calming me down.
Very nice. Uh, what has schizophrenia taught you about yourself that you might not have discovered otherwise?
Yeah, what schizophrenia has taught me is that I should not be judgmental about people. I shall have more compassion, because I was brought up in an elite kind of society. Because my father is a retired IAS officer, so we always had help around the house, and we pretty much enjoyed ourselves actually, doing swimming and doing things like that. And I live in Chembur now, and if you see the difference in Govandi in Bombay and South Bombay, it's the same Bombay, but there's a huge cultural difference within these 20 kilometers only. If you're living in South Bombay, you're living in an aisle, or living in Bandra, living in another aisle. So it taught me compassion, the suffering of people who don't get help. When I was at my workplace as a principal, or a vice principal, I could really be compassionate with the employees. I could really love them, understand them from my heart. And I think that helped me in my leadership building, and the love and support I got, supported by my junior colleagues and people around me. It happened very organically. I never had to ask anybody. I used to say, let's get this done, let's sit together and do it. And I think it taught me compassion. That's the most important. It taught me judgmental, like I'm a divorcee remarried. And I'm in a happy marriage since 2 decades, which is again testing the proposition. We always say, when we talk about a proposition that people with schizophrenia should not get married, I think it's a totally, it's not the narrative for me, because I have my husband around me, and he's the first person who should be telling me if something is going wrong, or helping me out. Having a family is very important, because I'm from a large family. But it taught me compassion. It taught me the values which I wouldn't have had. I had not myself experienced. If some lady in the office is coming and telling me her husband is troubling her, or her in-laws are troubling her, I could empathize, because I had been there. So I think that's the biggest learning I learned, that people with schizophrenia are in much worse conditions. Here I am getting up every morning, making my own tea, cleaning my own cupboards, booking my own tickets, getting onto Uber myself. All the things which I ever forever took for granted, now I'm thankful for.
Yeah, I think that's very nicely put, because compassion is a very important thing which we find sometimes missing. But not necessarily, but if you're highly educated, or if you're at a very high position, you actually start losing that sense of compassion. So I think that's very, very well put. Uh, if you could go back and talk to your younger self just before diagnosis, what would you say? Also, what is a message you would give to someone newly diagnosed?
So the first one, what I would tell myself is, stop focusing so much on your ambition and career and trying to change the world. Enjoy the childhood of your children, two beautiful children. Enjoy the childhood of your children. I couldn't give my children the same childhood which I had. Relax, happy childhood. They had difficult, a different type of a childhood trauma, and I feel completely responsible for that. Of course, they have come out of it golden. They are doing well, both of them, but I would tell myself that there are many more things than achieving in the career. There are many other things more also equally important in life. So that's where I think I made a mistake, big mistake of my life, thinking that my ambition, career, and all that is important, and I can just get help, and everything will go on smoothly. It doesn't work like that. The second question, sorry, doctor, I
Yeah.
forgot the second question.
What message would you give to someone who's newly diagnosed?
Newly diagnosed, I would say get into a routine, start doing housework. If you're working in a job, go to the job every single day. Every single day. Showing up is important and don't have fears. And for those who are at home, I did cutting of vegetables and cooking, washing of clothes. Even today, I do my own clothes washing in the machine, of course, but putting the machine, watering the plants, hanging out the clothes. Few physical activities I've kept for myself so that we don't get completely. In India, if you're upper middle class, you get help, but still, it's better to keep yourself. Take some routine jobs like say shelling the peas or cutting beans ka sabji, or things like that are very useful. Another thing is I do is I write Sri Ramajayam. In India, we have this habit of writing in this book, na, Sri Ramajayam. So I write that in 3 languages. Every day I write a page. I miss some days. So that also gives me a feeling of feeling good, positive, good. Another thing I used to do is I would suggest is that have a social occasion once a month. Either you go to somebody's house, say they are coming over for chai or something, or you have a small get together in your house of 2, 3 close people and you give them chai and biscuits. Because mostly in schizophrenia, the socialization comes to an end. You're totally cut off. And then you can also feel jealous because your friends are doing better than you in their careers and all that. So you don't feel like meeting them because it reflects on you that you have not done so well. So, yeah. Two things. One is building the routine, and the second is exercise. I walk for around 2 kilometers every day, even within the house, outside. Exercise it builds up your hormones. I don't know how it works, but walking or playing a game. If the person is younger, then they can play a game, not for winning, but for table tennis or badminton. And I would advise the carer to only play with them, because if they are not getting a partner, that even parents do. Parents play with their children if there are no. Families are smaller, right? One child or two child. So then you need companionship. So these few tips: play a game you love, invite some people over or go over, and have some routine tasks to be done every day.
It's a very good point. I think, especially the social isolation one. I think that's very well said. So we come to the end of this conversation, and it's been such a spontaneous uh, and a very candid experience sharing. So both me and Saraswati would like to thank you for this.
Thank
Can
you
you tell
so
us?
much.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's your amazing strength and your willpower and the way you have dealt with it and the kind of community support you have got. I think it's a very articulate and candid storytelling. It's an inspiration for all of us who will be listening, and also for both of us
I
who are
hope.
listening to this right now.
I
Can you tell
I
us?
believe
Yeah.
I
Oh
believe
no.
people should be, as far as possible, if they are financially stable, they can talk about their illness. For example, you have Ira Khan, Amir Khan's daughter, who's dealing with depression, and she talks about it on her Instagram. Then you also have Sid Malia, that is Vijay Malia's son. He's also dealt with mental illness. So its mental illness is very equitable, I would say. It strikes anywhere at any level. It doesn't leave any escape for anybody.
Absolutely. I think we have heard Deepika Padukone accepting it, and I think getting over it and going ahead, and and people like you who have actually shown people how to deal with it. So I think, and also it matters more in the upper society because there's huge stigma attached. That how could it actually happen to us? So I think that's a huge important point which needs to be navigated. Can you tell us a little more about NAMI India? How did you start it, and what is your vision about it?
So NAMI India, I started as a website at a time when websites were not very popular. And just through the phenomenon of the website, I used to keep getting calls from people on my mobile. The mobiles had started in those years, early 2000. And I used to get a lot of NRI calls. And I created a very deep website with a lot of resources. And one doctor from NIMHANS, Dr. Andrade, who was an expert on ECT, he used to answer questions on my website for many years. Many years. Every day there used to be 2 or 3 queries, and he would respond to those queries via email, and I would send it to the concerned person. I had a support of a lot of psychiatrists and doctors when we went for walks and other things. They used to come. But I think the main thing which I discovered is that the medicines have to be for lifelong, mostly lifelong. And that's one place where we are not happy because the medicine is having some kind of side effect on us, either sleep or food or some kind of hand shivering or palsy. There could be many types of effects, which is not very comfortable with to live with. So I always have this quotation, my own one: "It is better to be fat than to be mad." This is the only sentence I tell people. It's better to be fat than to be mad. And you have to manage your diet. So you have to manage your diet so that you don't just become unwieldy fat, that you can't do your daily activities. The other thing is, with this website, I could reach out to more and more people, more and more people. And finally, in 2015-16, there was a lot of advocacy relating to the Mental Health Act and the Disability Act. And I was very concerned that the Disability Act did not give reservation in employment, in public employment, to persons with mental illness. And this was a huge fight amongst, it was like the caste system. I call it the caste system of disability. Highest is blind, and next is physical. And the rest of us, I don't know where we are. We are the SCs of disability caste system. Okay. Because we can't prove that we are ill. You can't see it. And so the other disabilities, that is intellectually disabled and autistic, also got into the fray. And there was a lot of fighting. We used to send out long emails. That time it was not WhatsApp, where we were name calling each other. Ultimately, we got 0.5%, 1% disability employment, 1%, which is to be shared by the intellectual autism and persons with mental illness, for which obviously the intellectual people were not very happy. But I've been hearing of a few cases where people have got selected in banks and in certain public sector organizations with the use of this 1%. So all that screaming and shouting, I think you need so much. You have to shout to be heard. Because I say mental illness is invisible. So you have to be shout to be heard and told that here, hamare liye bhi kuch do, to the people in, or now I'm looking at this phase, I'm looking at both the acts, Mental Health and Disability Act, and seeing where are the gaps, either in the legislation or in the implementation. Act can look very rosy and good, but has it been implemented? Can we file a PIL? By the way, I have done my law from Government Law College, Mumbai. So can we file a PIL, to the High Court or something, saying that in Maharashtra, you have to implement all these things? Or when we look at employment, one good thing is there are a lot of NGOs in the fray. And I think NGOs coming together, like you have this National Alliance for Mental Health, it's a very good thing. So that more people can get together and lobby and ensure that persons living with mental illness I feel, accommodation and employment. These two are important. for recovery. Once your basic money part is taken, basic needs. We are already talking about basic needs money for people even without mental illness. Because if you have all these machines and robots, a lot of people are going to be without a job. So this is going to be a similar situation.
Great, ma'am.
Did I
Thank you
answer
very
your
much.
question properly, or
No. No, it was a very good summation of what
Yeah,
how that is progress of history has happened. And
yeah,
after COVID, we see so many people getting organized and coming together because I think everybody faced mental
yes,
distress at a very large
yes,
scale.
yes, yes.
So I just so I think at the end of this conversation, I and Saraswati just wanted to thank you on the behalf of our family and the
Thank you
parent
so
body
much.
basically. And
Thank you so much.
it's been such a amazing I think conversation, and also a lot of points for us to reflect uh, through the journey which you have traversed, and the kind of struggles you have faced, and how nicely you have actually overcome them with the support of your parents, with your
Yes,
siblings, and whatever choices you have made till now, and also with your family, and the
yes,
kind of support you have got.
yes.
So thank you very much for
Actually,
your time.
today I'm sitting in a space with so much of support system. I feel I'm being carried. I know within my heart I'm having a strong support of my husband, my children, my siblings, and even friends. All my friends are also there. So, yeah, I feel the top of the world now.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having
Thank you.
a conversation with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.